Alrighty, folks, it is time. It is time for a great challenge that I have been looking forward to. Let me pop over here and let y'all see me. How's it going? Good morning. I'm in my favorite color today, and I'm ready to get designing. My name is VooDoo Val. For those of you who are new or haven't been here in a while, and I'm going to be your host this morning for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. And all of our challenges for this set have been themed around our favorite pop culture TV shows and all that good stuff. And today we are taking inspiration from an absolute favorite of mine, okay? It is an artistic masterpiece. It is a storytelling machine and a font of inspiration for me. I'm talking about Love, Death, and Robots, all right? All right, y'all. So we're going to be creating robot characters today out of simple shapes. We're going to be adding some textures, developing a color palette for our little robot boy. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I'm really excited to get into it. So I'm going to pop over to my page over here. And I'm going to show you one of the textures that we are using today, and I'm also going to post that link in the chat for those of you who are watching the live show today. So let's pop over. So this is it's a sand or sand wash texture. You can see the code up here if you would like to see it. I think actually the file code is here as well for anyone who is in the future watching this and would like to download this exact image. I'm going to toss that in here for you folks. There you go. And this is just going to be our texture for today. This is going to be what we add as like a finishing touch just to give our little robot character just a little bit more substance, a little more definition. And let me pop over to Photoshop, to the VooDoo Shoops. There we go. This is your starter file for today. And you can use this face that I have placed in here for you, or you can follow along with me today and create your own. So transform simple shapes into a custom robot or into custom robot characters. And we're going to be getting into a lot of, let me go ahead and group this real quick. Call this info. And I'm going to hide it. We're just going to use our background. We're going to be getting into a lot of the pen tool and the curvature pen tool. Why is my canvas booped over to the corner there? Let me, I'm going to pop over here back to my face cam, and I'm just going to save this file and restart my Photoshop real quick. So yeah, we're going to be using a lot of the shape tool. Okay, we're going to be using a lot of the shape tool. We're going to be diving into the preferences and stuff for our shapes and rounding corners and rounding single individual corners and stuff of some of our shapes. We're also going to be getting into the pen tool as well as overlaying and like using clipping masks to clip not just the shapes together for our robots, but also kind of creating flat cell shaded points to give depth to our character as well. So obviously we will probably be diving into my handy dandy most favorite brush lately, which is the Dissolve noise brush. I know a lot of you folks like the noise brush, so we'll probably be adding some finishing touches with that. It's gonna be fun. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do with my shape tool, I'm gonna come down here, which is also U on your keyboard, just to grab my rectangle tool, and I'm gonna drag out what is gonna be the head of our little guy here, okay? So we've got our square. I'm gonna Control T and just transform this so it's like right in the center of my canvas. And we're going to alter this. So if I grab my little brackets here and kind of pull these in, you can see we can round our square, but what I would like to do is round all of them to about that point, and then in my properties panel here, I'm going to click the link icon here to unlink all of the corners from each other, and then the bottom corners, I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. So 175 there looks good. We're going to change this one to 175, just so that we have like kind of a much more rounded top than bottom. And then I'm going to Control T to free transform it, right click and hit perspective, because what I would like to do is grab these corners and bring it in like so, and then I'll Control or Command T again and bump this up like that, because I just want to have part of the head here just kind of narrow in at the neck just a little bit. And then we're going to add a little bit of depth to our piece. Now, one thing I want to do real quick is I'd like to actually dive into just using some grayscale elements here. We're going to add color later, or we could start in color. Let's just go ahead and do this in color, shall we? Let's go ahead and do that. So let's start with like an orange, actually, because that'll kind of remove some steps. Let's go ahead and, yeah, we'll start from an orange. So there's his head. We got to build his neck. So underneath here, I'm going to drag out, actually, we'll do this on top. We'll drag out another shape like so, okay? We'll go ahead and pull those corners in just like that. Control or Command T to free transform, and I'm going to put his neck just right there. Boom. And I'm doing this on top. Also, I want to call this head and neck just so I don't, we're going to be using a lot of shapes here, so I don't want to mess this up and lose track of what I'm doing. So we'll call that neck. And then let's make a torso. So I'm going to just go ahead and drag out another shape like so. And we will kind of bring this in just a little bit. I want it to line up with the edges of his head on the top. And we'll pull this down like so, just over the neck. And we will bring those corners in. And we can actually drag this down. We don't have to sharpen those corners on the bottom. We can just do it like that. And we'll call this, if I just double check the title there, we'll call this Torso. Boom. And then we got to give him some arms. So we're going to mask out some little portions for like the shoulder sockets here. So I'm going to right click on my shape tool, grab my ellipse tool, and I'm going to drag out kind of an oval, kind of an oblong circle here. And I will Control T. We're going to angle this to the side, and we're going to place that right there. Okay. And I will Control J to duplicate that, Control T to free transform, and I will right click and hit flip horizontal because I want to bring this over here like that, all right? And then I am going to hold Shift and select both of my layers here for my ellipses, and Control G to group them, and then Control or Command T to free transform. And I'm just going to snap this to the center grid to make sure everything is aligned. Now, if you're using the alignment grid, or you're trying to use the alignment grid, and you're not seeing that line pop up as you start orienting all of your elements here, go ahead and hit Control H, because Control H will hide and make visible the guides and all of that for you as you're working in Photoshop. So I've got these here. I am going to, with all of these, both of these selected, actually without them selected, I will hold Control and click the icons, the visible icons for both of those. Hold actually Control Shift so I can select them both. Add to selection. So I have those selected, and then if I select our torso, right click and select inverse if I can. I should be able to. Let me make sure I'm on a selection tool here. Select inverse and then mask. You will see that I've masked out a little torso there for my guy. And I think I am going to utilize these as shoulders. So I am going to Control T and just hold Shift and drag this out like so. And then I'll grab my whole group and recenter that. So there's a tiny little bit of difference of distance there. And then I think, let's double click and call these shoulders. And then I think we need to add like a little connecting arm here, you know, to connect this together. So between the torso, actually under the torso, I'm going to just go ahead and drag out, oops, let's make sure we're back on our shape tool. Go ahead and drag out a rectangle like so. And I'm going to rotate this to the side. Boom. So we have our little rectangle just like that. And I might actually need to bring my shapes down just a smidge. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this first. Let's Control J or Command J, Command T, flip horizontal, and I will drag this over here. And then let's group these and do the same thing. So the reason why I group these here is so that I can Control or Command T to free transform, and I've got both of them. It doesn't matter if you place them in the perfect spot or if you're slightly off if you start to place these things that are supposed to be symmetrical. If they're exactly the same shape and your whole design is built keeping in mind that center line snapping point on the center of your canvas, then when you free transform and hold shift just to slide it over, you can see it'll snap and they will be symmetrical. So there's that. Let's go ahead and bump our shoulders down just a little bit, like so. And I think that that actually looks pretty cool. Now, we could add arms to this if we wanted to add arms. We really could. But I am going to actually just free transform my character bigger here to give it a little bit of, you know, just kind of make it take up a little more of the canvas so that I don't have to do the work of creating more points of him here. So I'm going to call this shoulder bars, boom, just to make sure I'm keeping track of what I'm doing here. And I will select all of this: neck, head, torso, shoulders, shoulder bars, Control or Command T to free transform. Actually, got to group it together. Let's group it. You might run into this issue as you select all of your shapes that you're only selected on one shape, even though the layers are highlighted here. So if you select all of them holding shift and clicking the top and bottommost layer you'd like to select, and Control or Command G to group them, then transform, you are transforming them all together. So that is what I'm going to do right there. I think that looks pretty great. We've got a little silhouette of our guy here. And the last thing I want to do is maybe add a little visor and a face to his head. So I will actually duplicate our head shape. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to bump this up. Boom. There we go. There's our little visor. And then I am going to, let's just drag out another shape. Let's go ahead and drag out a little square that's going to be like his face plate, like so. We'll bring that up. And we will, do we want to round this? We might want to round this. Let's go ahead and round that in. Let's change the color so we can see what we're doing here. Maybe a dark blue. Looking good. And we'll round our corners except our top corners. We'll unlock and then make our top corners sharp. Make sure this is situated underneath our visor. Snap to our center line like so. Make sure it's underneath our visor. There we go. That looks a lot more like what we want. Boom. And now it needs a face. Definitely needs a face. So we are going to, let's call this faceplate. Boom. And let's call this visor. Boom. And it needs a face. So on top of everything, on top of even outside of our group of all of our stuff here, I am going to grab an ellipse tool. We're going to drag out a little eyeball. Some of you might start to recognize what we're doing here. Shout out in the chat if you do. I want to know where my Love, Death, and Robots fans are, okay? It's not going to look exactly like him, but he's here, folks. He's here. And he's looking for cats to pet. That's what he's doing. All right, there we go. There's his little eyes. And we will actually drag a rectangle out. And we will make a little mouth. You know. There he is. He looks so cute. Dude. It's so adorable. Okay, so there he is. Now he needs some depth. We really have to add some depth to this because it just, you know, we just need more. So I'm gonna group all these together and I'm gonna call this face, okay? And now we're gonna add some good detail to him. I'm liking this so far. It is kind of came together pretty fast. So let's kind of tweak all of these things and really start to change it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is come back down in here. Let's title this whole group Body. So we got, you know, body. And then let's take a look at all of our stuff. We've been very organized with all of our little pieces. So we're going to start coming in and adding some other shapes with the Curvature Pen Tool, just to really give this some depth. So over our head, let's come in with the Curvature Pen Tool. You can hit P on your keyboard, which will access your pen tool, but we want the Curvature Pen Tool again, as I said. So go ahead and right-click your pen tool and select it from that little drop-down. And what we can do is we can start to just tap. I'm not tapping and dragging, I'm just tapping. Tap over our head, like so. Make a little curve, because this is going to be like a bright spot. So let's change this to like a lighter, should we do like that? Nah, I think we should, I feel like we should do something more like this. Boom. Like a light gray color, and we will, a light orange color, and then we will click that and say, create clipping mask. Boom. So now we're starting to get some light on here. I want to bump the neck down a little bit as well, because I'm seeing it starting to overlap a little bit in that space. Let's kind of noodle around with our shape. I'm going to hit V on my keyboard to access the move tool, so I can kind of move this about like so. I might even Control T to free transform like that. Just kind of put that right there. All right, there we go. And then I want to use my ellipse tool, and we're going to create like a shadow here that is a darker orange, like so, for like a under his chin, like an under chin kind of shadow, like so. And we will duplicate our ellipse, and we will make this smaller like this. Controller Command T to kind of free transform comfortably. We'll go like that. Make sure this is clipped to this as well. And we'll change this to an even darker orange. And now we're starting to get, as you can see, we're starting to get like this little depth to him. I'm gonna alter the visor. I feel like this visor needs to be larger, like that. But we might need to, I'm going to transform and perspective again, just to kind of make that visor a little less crazy. And I'm also going to mask, I think. I will, with my rectangular marquee tool, I'm going to select that portion of the visor and hit my masking button, and then bring it down just a little bit. Oops, I don't want to free transform the mask itself, just the whole shebang here, if I can. Why? Oh, does it need to be locked? What's happening? Let me convert that to a smart object and then move it around. There we go. There we go. We're good. All right. Now, same thing for our visor. We got to make our visor look cool. So let's go ahead and grab like, I'm thinking we could just duplicate our visor and convert to clipping mask. And I guess this is no longer a shape, so we can't really super easily change the color, but we could make the top of the visor brighter. So let's go ahead and grab this. Maybe actually we'll do a color overlay. So I've just double clicked my layer to open the layer styles here, and I'm going to do color overlay, and I'm going to click and then sample this dark color there, and that works for me. There we go. There's another way to color your shapes. So we got our little visor, we got our head dialed in here. We could do the same thing with our torso. I think we only have a few minutes left here, so I'm going to be pretty quick about just adding some tiny things to the torso, I think. So let's go ahead and go here, and I am, with my Curvature Pen Tool, going to come in and kind of do like just a little shape here that will allow me to add a little spot of light there, and we will fill with our lighter color, and we will right click and create clipping mask just to add kind of a clipping mask there. And I think that I would like to select my neck and make this blue, our blue color, just to, you know, add a little bit of difference. We could also do this to our shoulder bars if I select both of these and come over to fill and hit that blue, a little bit of shoulder bar color there, and you can see that it's starting to turn into a robot. But what I would like to do is kind of add some textures and things to make this look a little more fancy. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've got my face separate from my body. So between the face and body, I'm going to grab our lovely texture, which I showed earlier. This little sand wash texture here that just adds a nice little bit of grit, I think. And I'm going to drag that and just drop it right into my file. I will rotate that around, and I am just going to hold Alt and extend that to the canvas. And then I'm going to right click it and throw a clipping mask on that. And I think we're going to find like multiply. Multiply looks pretty darn good, actually, which I think, yeah, that looks neat. We could kind of flip through here and see if we find one that we like a little bit. Ooh, overlay was cool. Soft light's cool. Soft light's kind of cool. I like that. And then on another clipping mask, we can add with our handy dandy dissolve brush, making sure we have a soft round pressure opacity brush, which is default with Photoshop, and making sure it's set to dissolve. We can come in here, sample like an orange color, maybe throw this on overlay. We can use our brackets to make our brush larger, and we could come in maybe a little brighter than that. We could come in and start to kind of throw some variation in color on here. Yeah, get it going. And I see that we have maybe, yeah, we have about 3 minutes left. So I think we can kind of like come in and tap. Now this works if you want to do it this way, but one thing that that I notice as we come in through here, let me make sure this is clipping, like a clipping mask. This works, but if you're really trying to add some good depth and add some accurate shadow, you might find that as you come through and start doing this, that maybe you want to shade and shadow your faceplate of your robot here differently than you want to alter the color of the head, and so on. So what you can do instead is you can come in to all of our individual, maybe we'll hide our texture here, you can come in to our individual pieces, and maybe we can come in and grab all of our shoulders and things and convert these to smart objects. Okay, this is, yeah, our torso, so we can convert our torso to a smart object. Make sure that we keep that called torso. And I'm converting them to smart object because if they're smart objects, I can always double check or double click this, as you can see, and open it back up and alter it if I want. So all of these will change to smart objects. And we can alter them later if we want to. Let's merge the head into a smart object. And then I can come in with clipping masks on each individual piece, and we can kind of do it this way. So if I want to, clipping mask to the faceplate, maybe I want a dark blue here. We can turn our texture back on if we want to paint with the texture on to keep track of what we're doing. We could come in and, kind of shade and shadow here and do it individually. So it's not gonna, it's not gonna alter, all the work that we've done making all of these separate. We can kind of add a little oomph, a little pizzazz to each individual piece here. And I am doing this with a mouse. Sometimes I do this with a stylus, but I am doing this with a mouse. We can come into neck. Let's do the neck as well. Another clipping mask right there, and let's darken the top of our neck here just to give that a little bit of shading. I like it. And we can do that to our shoulders as well. Where are our shoulders? Our shoulder bars, yeah. Go ahead and make a clipping mask there. Actually, let's do this underneath. Boom. And it starts to look pretty darn cool. I also did, because I did a practice run of this before, um, to make sure that this was going to be super fun to do, and I want to show you the version that I did before because I had a little more time to work on it, to put into it, and I really like how it turned out. This is my Adobe, and you can see that I've got the texture, and I kind of came in and made all of those shapes and things to really make this pop. Before I added like a little name tag for him and a little OMG, like, surprised mark next to his head, and I had a lot of fun with it, so I can't wait to see what you folks make. You don't have to make yours look like mine. You can make yours look super unique. You can add more heads, you can add more eyes, you can add super strong arms, you can add a cuter face if you want. You can do whatever you want. But this has been a blast. I thank you all so much for joining me today. It's been awesome, and I'm going to be here again bright and early tomorrow morning with another super fun, epic Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, but until then, it is time for me to take my leave, and I will see folks later. Adios, everyone.